Welcome back to the Playbook by Charlie, episode 15, first episode of this 2026 new year. Let's get into it. Today's guest is somebody who works in the IE, LA, all across Southern California, educating and helping people buy real estate. She hosts monthly home buying seminars. She is the founder of the Roots of Noir Network, and she is a UCLA alum, which tells you a little bit about her background. Kamea Taylor, welcome to the Playbook.
Thank you for having me, Charlie.
Of course. So before we really dive into lessons and your journey, I always like to ask my guests this first question. If you had to teach a class, would you rather teach a dancing class, a singing class, or a cooking class?
That is so funny. I think I could probably choose a singing class.
You said what?
Because I love music, a singing class.
Oh, okay.
Because I love music, I think it's easy to, well, it's not easy, but it's something that you can learn. Kind of like cooking, but I think it's kind of funner to, I guess, see where your, I guess, like personal skill in singing kind of falls. Because of course we all can sing, but I don't know, to our own liking, I guess you could say.
Perfect. Well, I'll be sure to set up that class for everybody watching after this. So I gotta say, you are my first real estate or guest that's in the real estate field. So no pressure or anything. So what originally pulled you into real estate?
Oh, that's such a long-winded story. But I guess in summary, I was in my last year in undergrad at UCLA, and I initially wanted to get into urban planning for my master's degree, but I ended up actually doing some research through the Regent Scholarship at UCLA, randomly just about like the disparities between Black and white renters in LA County post-COVID. And I learned a lot about just like lease agreements and just certain rights that people probably don't realize they have as tenants, and like the things that their landlord should be responsible for. And or when it came to COVID, right, people are being expected to pay back a lump sum of rent that you know there's quite impossible to catch up with the amount of people that weren't able to afford their rent at that time. And in the sequence of me kind of doing my research, I kind of felt like it was a large resource gap and education gap. And me, myself, seeing this information for the first time, I had no idea what any of it meant. And I was like, well, if I'm feeling like this, I'm sure that there's plenty of people who are also having a similar experience and don't have people who have any, background or I guess expertise in just knowing these things. So that kind of got me interested in real estate. But I had already been wanting to pursue my real estate license, but I was in college, so it was really hard to do both at the same time. But essentially, I just felt like there needed to be more access and more space to kind of give people the opportunity to educate themselves, whether they want to buy or whether they, still want to be a tenant, just knowing your rights and knowing what's accessible to you.
Awesome. So you kind of went in curious about landlords and renters. Was there anything that surprised you as far as maybe something a misconception that we might think or common people online might think about who's responsible for what in regard to landlords and renters?
I think the most surprising, I would say, is just like the amount of things that people didn't know the landlord was responsible for. I think when you're a tenant, you kind of assume it's like, oh, they just collect the funds, like I'm just basically giving the money and then that's it. But it's like there's a lot of things in terms of just like maintenance, also like not giving people 2-week notice and you're evicting them, so not knowing necessarily what that timeline is if you're in that situation of facing eviction and just things like that. So I would say like the most surprising was just how much landlords are actually supposed to be doing that tenants probably had no idea about.
I see, and that makes sense, and that's why you're here to share that information with everybody as you've kind of gone through your real estate career and this journey, because as we all know, reading about real estate in the books and actually doing it is two completely different things. Is there anything that took you by shock, or maybe you really didn't know what to expect when you jumped into actually practicing real estate?
Well, that's a good question. I think probably the most difficult thing for me so far has just been the working with the other party. I've had no issue really like working with like personal clients, obviously, but I think once you're in the midst of the escrow, you have to pretty much build a relationship with the other agent. And I found that sometimes you don't run into the most professional ones. And so that's probably been the biggest thing for me, because obviously the transaction isn't about me, it's about my client. So when it becomes a conversation of like, okay, like, you know, you have to act on behalf of your client and this isn't about you, I think I didn't realize I was going to have a lot of those conversations in transactions. But yeah, that's been probably most surprising.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's stay here for a minute. It's interesting how when you start working with other people, you learn so much really about yourself. I remember when I started coaching a couple years back, you know, I went in thinking I'm going to teach these kids, you know, so much about basketball, and then fast forward to 2 to 3 years and they have taught me so much about myself. What's something that working with clients or even other real estate agents that has taught you about yourself?
I want to say that I'm very personable. I don't know why that came as a surprise for me, but I realized that I love working with clients where I feel like there is some sense of trust and relationship. But yeah, I realized I'm really personable and like I like being able to build a sense of trust with my clients. You know, when you're in real estate, you're kind of looking for just like, and everyone who's interested in investing or just getting into real estate. But for me, it was like, I also want to have almost like a friendship with my clients, because at the end of the day, it's a large purchase and I also want to feel like they trust me. And so that was something that I feel like I've learned about myself over the course of getting clients, and then also kind of picking and choosing who I want to work with, because it's not just a matter of them choosing me, but it's also a matter of me choosing my clients as well.
Awesome. To kind of touch on what you said, do you think, so let's say I was thinking about becoming a real estate agent or just doing something in the real estate field, do you think I would have to be a people person to excel in this job or career?
Oh, I mean, absolutely not. I don't think so. I think I would call myself like a introverted extrovert. Like I love talking to people. Like if I have to be in the room and have to kind of, I guess be the loudest person. If I have to do that, I will, but I'm also very much to myself. Like if I don't have to speak or engage, I won't. So I definitely don't think that you have to be extroverted. I think you just have to play to your strength, whatever that may be.
I love that. Playing to your strengths, because you know a lot of times what tends to happen in real estate or real estate professionals or even our loan officers, we try to be everything to everybody, when in actuality I think that you should just need to be the right things to the right people in order to excel. And you know, that takes time, and as you mentioned, that takes trust. So that kind of leads into this next question. So on the lines of trust, how has communication played a part in the way people trust in you? Because as we kind of touched on, you host these monthly home buying seminars, and the way that you host these, I would imagine it brings a sense of, I trust this person because they're educating me. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so I feel like for the first part, I guess, of like the home buying seminars, I think one thing I'm not scared to do is like reach out, or I guess be like an outreach coordinator in that sense when I do have the home buying seminars. I'm not afraid to reach out and be like, hey, like if you're interested or you know anybody that just like wants to learn more, I think that kind of takes the pressure off of someone to feel like I have to be ready to buy something tomorrow. You know, it's like, no, like even if like I'm 25 years young, just turned 25 in December, and there's not a lot of people my age that are looking to buy any kind of real estate. But it's like, if you want to learn more about the process and like what that looks like, just a general understanding, I think it's cool, because then you kind of are mentally, maybe subconsciously preparing yourself for that step eventually. And then the other part of just communication too is I'm really big on like follow up, and I don't think there's a lot of real estate agents that are good at that, because they're always looking for immediate business, aren't prepared yet, aren't ready to do anything in the market yet. But like keeping up, following up, checking in with family, seeing how they're doing, I think is also really important with the business, because your first year, your turnover isn't turning over, but you definitely find value in like building those relationships and building that trust. And then obviously once they're ready, they're like, hey, my girl.
Exactly. It takes time and it takes patience. And you hit on a couple of key points as far as saying, you said that just being the person that contacts somebody and saying, hey, how's your family doing? Or how are you doing? Has anything changed in your life? And a lot of times us, or being in the real estate field, we don't realize that this industry and this career is more about the people than it is about the actual houses. You know what I'm saying? So at what point did you learn this skill, or was it taught to you, or is it just the course of you dealing with so many different clients? Take me through that.
Wow, that's a good question. I think for me, I even just through building my network and even just transitioning into that, community has always been something that I've craved, and just like natural connections and relationships. I think I probably get that from my mother. She's very personable, very warm-hearted, and I feel like I'm also like that in just like business industry, just because for me personally, like if I'm doing anything, whether that be even retail or service-based anything, I think I would want to feel more, I want to feel less like a number and more like an actual person. And so I guess my personal feelings towards that, I feel it's important to kind of make people feel seen and valued for who they are, and not like for what they can do for you or what they can provide or like what opportunities it can give you. So I think naturally for me, like it wasn't hard to be personable or to just genuinely care about the people that coincidentally may want to be in the real estate market. But even if they're not, I still want to continue to foster that relationship, because I just crave community. I just crave genuine community where like people show up for each other, cheer each other on. And yeah, I don't know if I answered that question.
No, you did. You did. I've been hearing the word community a lot, and I think I need to put it on my vision board. So I want to pivot for a minute. You had mentioned that as far as one of your strengths in your business is following up. What are some methods that you use to follow up? Is it a certain app? Is it a certain CRM? Is it just you? Do you have a way that you go about it? What are some things that somebody watching might be able to take away from this video and go implement in their business to do a better job of following up?
Definitely. So for me, I'm brokered with Keller Williams, so we have our own technology or CRM, I guess you would say, but it could be easily duplicated or created. But it's pretty much like, sometimes I talk to people so much that naturally I do check in. So I don't necessarily need my CRM to be like, oh, like I normally speak to this person, like let me just see how they're doing. But normally I try to, if I do make my touches, say like they're in a CRM, maybe it's January, I know that I should do my first touch then. And then it could be a text, it could be a call or an email, but it kind of switches out. I personally prefer calling. If I can't call, I text. I think that's just how the natural sequence of things goes. And then if I don't make a touch, I'll email. And then every month or two, I'll touch again. So it's like maybe every other month, I try to do my touches. Even if they don't respond, I still touch, because I think that's also important, because life just be lifing and people be busy. And sometimes if they can't respond to a text or a call or email, it is what it is. So yeah, I would say I have like an actual database where it kind of tells me the last time I touched, if I texted, if I called. And then, yeah, I just consistently check it, which I think is the most important part of this entire thing, is like you actually have to look at your database, your CRM, to make sure that you're doing the follow-up. But I would say that's how I keep a record of everything.
100%. Just being consistent and touching and texting and staying on top, even if they don't respond. Because again, I don't respond to every text message, and I'm sure you might not respond to every text message, but we do see them, and it's ingrained in the back of our head. If somebody texts me, I might not respond to you at that time, which I'm trying to do a better job at it. I told myself in this new year, I would do a better job of texting people back right away. Right. But I know it's in the back of my mind. I'm like, okay, I need to give a call to so-and-so. I need to text so-and-so. And then you also mentioned at the beginning of the year, holidays and events that are going on are such easy ways to get in touch with somebody if you haven't in a long time. Happy New Year. How's the family? That's all you need to say. Oh, by the way, so-and-so happened with the market. What else is coming up? July, or down the line, July 4th. Happy July 4th. Have a good time with your family, blah, blah, blah. Have you been looking into the market to move or anything? Having those holidays in there are just easy touch points that people can kind of use to contact somebody that they haven't touched in a while. So I love those points. And so following up and staying on top of your database doesn't seem to be much of a challenge to you, but has there ever been something that, as far as in real estate, that has challenged you about working with people, such as, I don't know, the lack of communication? I don't know, maybe somebody was rude to you. What are some things that are kind of challenging you with working with other people?
That's a good question. I feel like I tend to roll with the punches normally.
Okay.
But I would say the biggest challenge, it's probably less about other people. No, I don't.
Everybody's perfect.
Wow. I think for me, it's probably just staying the course. I wouldn't say it has anything to do with anyone else, because truly, I think when you're in an industry like real estate, you really have to understand that, like, it's not about you, and you're not, like, everyone has their own timeline. You can't control your clients. You can't control what they decide to do. You could be in the middle of shopping and suddenly they don't want to buy anymore, and that's not on you, right? So I think for me, it's just about like staying the course and understanding like my overall mission is just to help the people that want to be helped. Ideally, of course, I would love for all of my buyers and sellers to be ready, willing, and able, but sometimes it's just not how that ends up panning out. So I think for me, it's my biggest challenge is just like really staying the course, trusting the process, trusting what God has for me and my clients and those who just like cross my path. And yeah, pretty much that's it. I'm trying to do to your answer, but
no, that makes sense. And disclaimer for any past agents that have worked with Kamea, she's not talking about you.
No. I've already left my Yelp review. Like there's no.
There we go. If somebody is, let's say, struggling to go out and build confidence or communication, and they're looking to put themselves out there to either do seminars or just become an agent or trying to get their first listing, how would you tell them to improve in those areas?
Okay. That's a good question. I do believe everyone has their strong suits. So I think my first question would be like, what are you already good at? And what skill set do you not have yet that you would want to get good at? And then once you figure that out, I think it's just a matter of, I know this sounds so cliche, but like literally just do it. No Nike sponsored. Nike's not sponsoring this video, but just literally do it. I think even for me, like a lot of people compliment me and like commend me for like my social media presence and like being able to just like outright just be like, hey, I'm doing this, like come if you want, come if you like. And like to be fair, I was never somebody who was orchestrating or like organizing in my past lives. I never saw myself doing that, but I think naturally when you're in an industry that's very much white male dominated, and I'm pretty much almost like a monolith in the real estate industry, you kind of are like, you know, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. So I do think that if you are someone who wants to get out there, who wants to get better at social media, or wants to be someone who organizes events, it's just like take the temperature on yourself and like allow yourself to get on the other side of fear. So
yeah, no, definitely.
I wish I had a better.
No, that's great. You have to get past that fear and make yourself uncomfortable in order to change or get better at anything. And just to kind of add to your point, again, we're not sponsored by anybody. Nick Wright had mentioned when people ask him, how do I get better at my podcast? I'm sure you can kind of relate this to anything. He says, go look at your however many podcasts you've done, your 5 or 10 first podcasts. Pick one thing that you need to improve on in every single video. What's the one thing that stands out that you want to improve on it, and just fix that first. And then when you fix that, then move on to the next thing. So don't try to tackle, I need to be the best marketer, I need to be the best person listing this, I need to be the best buyer agent, I need to be the best FHA, conventional. Don't try to fix everything, because then you're going to get overwhelmed. Just try to fix one thing, perfect it, and then move on to the next thing. That makes sense.
That's how you get analysis paralysis. You know, you try to do everything all at once and then you don't do anything at all.
Exactly, 100%. You are the founder of Roots of Noir Network. Please tell us about that.
So yeah, initially, when I got into the real estate industry, it was my first year. And of course, at my office, I'm the youngest. So that was already an experience in itself. But I also felt like after coming back from UCLA, I lived in like the heart of Westwood. And I felt like, you know, when you're in LA or like a city like that, you're never lacking a sense of community, or you're never having difficulty meeting new people, making new connections, and then I kind of had a little bit of a culture shock as if I didn't nearly grow up in the Inland Empire. But when I moved back, I was like, wow, like there's geographically very, very challenged in terms of creative community, because if you live in one city and someone lives somewhere else, you're probably driving more than 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get somewhere else. And then also just in the business industry, or really any professional industry, I felt like I didn't really know enough other Black people in any respective fields. And I kind of felt isolated in that experience, because it is a very intersectional experience being in an industry. And then also I'm not doing real estate in the ways that people have done it for years, which is, the cold calling, the door knocking. And so I created Roots out of a need and a desire to create community amongst like-minded individuals. I say Black and brown because we are inclusive, but predominantly Black, because I do know that we don't have a lot of spaces for ourselves. But yeah, it was just really out of my own need to create a community and just to meet like-minded people who want to continue to elevate, want to learn more about themselves and their entrepreneurship, or just like business-minded. And yeah, I want it truly to be just like an organic social community for anyone to kind of join and commingle. And yeah, I don't know if I answered that, but yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Do you guys have any events coming up?
As of now, sorry, I'm trying to think if we do.
On the horizon?
Yeah. So I am planning to do some like coffee and co-work commingling things, kind of low stakes. Because I do feel like sometimes events can be a little bit stress inducing, because you feel forced to kind of network and meet people and talk and chat, or just like more of an exchange and less of like an organic connection of like, hey, like you're dope, I like you, let's be friends, versus like, oh, I know you're in this business, like let's exchange business cards, but actually never follow up with each other. So yeah, we do have some monthly coffee meetups coming up, and then we do have events coming up that we'll just keep it at that. But yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we'll be sure to look out for that. Where can people find you? Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, my Facebook is Kamea Taylor, so my government name. Instagram, by Taylor Made, BUY Taylor Made, and then Roots of Noir Network on IG as well. And then I also have a Substack. We just started like a Substack newsletter, because I do have a little bit of a journalism background, and I just love being able to kind of put my things there. So that's also there under my name, Kamea Taylor. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, this was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your time.
Thank you.
Giving us a little insights about what you do and how you serve people. I really appreciate this, and I'm sure that people watching can take at least one thing from this video. You have a great day, and let's do it again soon.
Thank you so much, Charlie.